We've all heard the term empath, but what does it actually mean? And what is it like to navigate through entrepreneurship as an empath? In today's conversation, I dive deep with Devani Freeman into this topic as she has been on this recent journey of discovering her empath gifts and uncovering ways to effectively manage her energy while building her empire. Devani Freeman is a founder of Heart-Centered Social and has worked with hundreds of heart-centered entrepreneurs to build their online audience, attract more clients, and make more money through lucrative social media strategies. Devani leads and mentors women through the Online Impact Society, an exclusive community for women on the rise. In addition, Devani runs a boutique agency, Heart-Centered Social, for entrepreneurs who are ready to hand over their marketing so they can scale their business to the next level. And this is one of the businesses that she has completely shifted from an intuitive space to help her hone in on how she needs to manage her energy. And the story is honestly so interesting and will provide you with a lot of tips on how to build your business, your empire, in a way that aligns with your energy as well as serves your energy powerfully. So kick back, get ready, gear up, because we are about to dive deep with Devani Freeman. Hey, Love Punchers. I'm back with a soul sister, someone who's recently popped into my life, Devani Freeman. And Devani, we're going to dive into a conversation that has been ruminating in your mind because it's super relevant in your life right now. But I feel like this is super relevant for a lot of people right now, especially entrepreneurs, especially people in the personal growth industry, especially with all that's going on in the cosmos and our evolution as a collective, society. So let's talk about empaths.
Yes. So excited to be here. Thank you.
So this is something that you've recently discovered of yourself, that you're an empath, or is this something that you're just starting to dive into?
I discovered it 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I've been on a journey in the last 3 years of all of these pieces coming together. Like there was this moment where I was like, oh, that's why I had that happen to me and that happened to me.
Mm.
And then actually digging into it with my mom, how was I as a child? She's like, oh, you were extremely sensitive. Like you took a lot of nurturing. I knew that you were an indigo child. And I'm like, oh, well, thanks for telling me at, 32 and not knowing what was wrong with me,
Yeah. So why don't you describe to our listeners, how would you describe an empath?
Yes. So an empath is someone that is highly sensitive, meaning you feel things deeper than most people. So when you're happy, you're like on cloud 9. When you're sad, it's like really, really sad. You're very empathetic. Like you can feel other people's emotions. There's different versions of being empathic as far as different sensitivities. Like some empaths like can't eat, food from like an animal because they literally like feel the animal's energy to that point. And so there's different levels and different strengths, but I mostly describe it as being highly sensitive. You feel a little bit different. You sometimes can find yourself like angry or frustrated, not realizing that you actually took on someone else's energy because we're like an open sponge. And so it's been very fascinating diving into empath and all being about energy.
Yeah. And so this is like having the ability of taking on other people's energy unintentionally, so, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you enter a conversation and the other person's kind of in a funky way, but you came into it in a positive way and then you leave in a funky way. Like,
Yes.
is that what we're talking about here?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, um, that when you're not aware of what's going on, you just think, oh, I'm suddenly just in a shitty mood. And you like, don't really get it when really that wasn't actually you. That was someone else's energy that they put on you. And
Mm.
so, yeah, it's really fascinating. It's like a whole new world.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, learning that you are an empath and then learning how to navigate life as this. But I would imagine that in this new, enlightened state, because now now you're aware that it would become easier to navigate, or not
Yes,
really.
when you become aware, it's so much easier to navigate because there's incredible tools that everyone has available to them, and tools of using energy protection, like a client of mine is actually an energy company, and so there's an exercise of like energy dusting. So literally at any time you can imagine yourself just pushing away energy and getting energy off from other people, and this exercise alone can help then to clear your energy field. It's as simple as that.
Mm. It's funny because I literally do something like that between client calls. Is like I'll just take my hands and I'll like graze them over my body and like almost like I'm just dusting off all the energy off my body.
Yeah.
So it's, one of the things I find as an empath, is that in the work that I do specifically as a life coach, it has its positives for sure, because I'm able to relate to people on a deeper level. But it also opened up this whole other fucking bag of worms, because I had to figure out, okay, now how do I manage my energy effectively? And so, entrepreneurship is already really fucking tough.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster ride. Now we're going to add on the fact that, okay, and now I'm an empath. Shit.
Yes. Yes.
So what's that been like for you?
Oh my goodness, girl. So I started a social media company where I was managing social media for businesses, and then I started working with a coach that really inspired and got me on the track of what if I teach now women entrepreneurs how to do this social media and online branding, lead generation for themselves. So I started to run online coaching programs,
Mm-hmm.
and I did some one-on-one, and then I jumped into group, and it was so overwhelming for my system because I didn't realize that I was taking on all of their fears and all of their doubts. And I'm working with women entrepreneurs that are at the beginning stages. And when you're in the beginning stages, it's hard. You're breaking through so much blocks around visibility and worth and all of those things as you're putting your craft out there. And so, I did and went down that route for about 2 years, but there was so much like heaviness in my body around it. And it dawned on me that I was taking on the energy of these women. And so it was like sucking me back into the
Oh, wow.
place of where I was in the beginning, which was such a struggle. And so then I shifted my business last year, and I went from 80% coaching to 20% of agency and managing the online marketing to 80% agency and 20% coaching. And now just coaching women that are at a certain level that get closeness to me. Like I still have a continuity membership program, but that helped me to be able to guard my energy and figure out how I best work in my zone of
Mm.
genius. Now it would be a lot easier because I have tools, but back then I didn't know what was happening and what was going on, but I was just like, this just feels so heavy. And I had
Yeah.
so much heart and care. Like I wanted to help these women, but I also knew like they have to go through their own journey. Like I can't climb that ladder for them.
Right.
But when you see that vision, so that's one thing, like, as being an empath, is like you see the good in everyone. So
Mm.
empaths have a tendency to like go after and dating like the bad boys because we see that goodness in them,
Oh my
right?
God. Wait, repeat that, please.
Well, this is my pattern in dating, is I would always go after the bad boys. You know, they're
Right.
sexy, they're hot. And I would see the goodness in them. I would
Mm.
see the good, and they were deep down, right? They're all, you know, but that's because we see the best in people. We see what's possible.
So empaths go for like the wounded birds or the like the bad boys or bad girls. This is what empaths do. That's okay. That's great. That explains a lot in my past. Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So you changed your entire business
Yeah,
because of this insight,
yeah.
this internal insight, and that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, it was scary, but you know what happened is that the universe divinely orchestrated it, because it it was an interesting period last year. I think last year, 2017, was a heavy year for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from having a thriving business to suddenly, wow, why are clients not renewing? Wow, why are people jumping out? And suddenly had this like, okay, I get to actually create something from scratch again. It was like everything was like knocked down. And I think that's also just part of the hero's journey. I was just watching that movie last
Mm-hmm.
night, amazing documentary. And that was the universe saying, you've got a clean slate here. How do you want to recreate your empire, and what direction you want to go into? And so it was the best thing. It was the hardest thing and the best thing, you know, especially when you're like, okay, I've been at this for 5 years, and yet I feel like I'm reinventing or restarting my business in a way. And then as soon as I made that decision, as soon as I made that solid decision of this is what I'm going to do, clients started coming in, and it was
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Wow. I think it's really important to emphasize that this reinvention that you went through was one that you chose in order to manage your energy in a really healthy way. Like, it's one of the greatest acts of self-love that we can give ourselves, is to build a business that actually works for us versus works us to the ground. And I feel like so many entrepreneurs struggle with that, right? Like, we want to create something, and then we have this idea of what it should look like because of what other people have built, and then we realize, well, wait a second, this doesn't really work with my energy because it's not feeling very good. But to have the courage to actually create the shifts and the change, that, I mean, that's amazing and that's incredible, and I'm so happy that it worked out for you. And a lot of my listeners know, like, I went through something very similar in 2017 where I tore everything down,
Yeah.
and I've been rebuilding since, and rebuilding and leaning into what feels good, what feels right for my energy. And so energy management is something that I feel like, I mean, they don't teach you that in business school. They don't talk about it in like business strategy programs. Like, and we kind of, as entrepreneurs, figure that out when we're in it, but it usually takes us feeling depleted in some
Yeah.
way for us to figure out, like, wait, there's an energy leak somewhere.
Yes.
So for our listeners, I'm curious, like, what advice could you give in to them, so that maybe they don't have to get to that point where they feel completely depleted? Like, what are some signs that they can look out for?
Yes, absolutely. So a few signs is really tapping into your body. So I lived
Mm.
a lot of my life in my head. I can be very analytical. I want to make sure I've got a pulse on things, and so that was my strength. That's where I led. And since I started this journey, I've now been able to really tap into my body and really feel into my body, because your body will tell you whether something's in alignment or not. You definitely want to have discernment on, okay, is this just nervous butterflies because I have fear in there? Or is this actually an interaction or a step that doesn't feel in alignment? Because your body will already know that.
Right.
So it's slowing down and really taking the time to tune in, especially when you're making decisions or if you're around people, just like taking a moment to like take a breath and
Mm-hmm.
like check in with your body. And then also make sure that you're doing some sort of energy dusting. Like I will literally sage myself like twice a day, morning and
Mm-hmm.
night. Especially when I feel like I'm like super hypersensitive period. And it's been that way with all the eclipses, and it's been very energetically intense, because that will help to clear energy as well. And essential oils, things like that. So just helping you to stay grounded in your body and to keep any energies that don't serve you away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's so important what you said about tapping into your body. I feel like as an entrepreneur, it's a little too easy to stay in our heads.
Yes.
And be analytical and be that visionary and want to continue moving forward, like mentally and spiritually, but we have a physical vessel that is very real, and it breaks down and we don't take care of it, and energy can deplete us physically. So I love that you brought that up, because I think it's super important for us as entrepreneurs, not just to take care of ourselves mentally. I think that part's easy. Like, we know how to sharpen our tools, we know how to like hire coaches and learn new things, but sometimes the hard thing is like taking care of our energetic bodies, because we don't
Yes.
even know we have to do that.
Yeah. And I want to share the same time that I went through this awakening on what's going on. Um, so I really went through the awakening last year, is also the same time I stepped out of a coaching community, and mentor relationship with someone. Um, and it was the first time in 4 years that I ran my business strictly off intuition. Because
Wow.
as an empath, we can, like, for me, I can shift shape into someone else's energy. And so
Mhm.
I was trying to mold myself into her energy and her way of being. And she's an amazing coach. I have nothing poor to say, but she's a very masculine and very like, you work your ass like
Mhm.
until you're exhausted. And that can get you so far, but it was not in alignment with me using my own gifts. And so for the first time since starting my business, I used my intuition and allowed the right mentors in more of the spiritual personal growth capacity to hold me, and allowing only myself to make business decisions. And it was one of the most empowering things that I've gone through. And I've had the most amount of growth in the last year than I've had my entire 6 years.
Mhm. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I feel like you're in my head, number one. So, I mean, I always say, and not just because I'm a life coach, and I say to everyone, like, find a coach that works for you, like a life coach. It doesn't have to be me. But with business coaching, and I love all my business coach friends, but there comes a time when you do need to like detach from that and really hone in on your own voice and like what your inner guidance system is telling you to do. What is your, because we all have an inner guidance system, our intuition. We all have that. It's not that we don't have it. We all have that. I feel when we continue being bombarded by someone else's ideas and opinions, that creates a disconnect between us and our intuition. right?
Yeah.
And then we feel like we're doing what we should be doing versus like what actually feels good. So, to our listeners, like really keep that in mind with what you're building right now, with your mission, with your role as a leader. Like lead from a place that's deep within you versus like externally. I think that's super important. And like Devani shared, the moment you did this, your business became thriving. I mean, and in a different way than it was before, right? Like, because it
Yeah.
actually feels good.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because there's a difference, right? There's a difference between like monetary, like it's thriving like with money, and
Yeah.
then we still feel like shit. And then there's like no, it's like legitimately thriving in terms of like there's a cash flow, there's a flow within me. I feel good. My clients are great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And getting our business support and coaching is absolutely needed. But
Mm-hmm.
now I feel like it's get clear on what strategy feels good for you. You don't have to do that strategy. You don't have to be speaking. You don't have to run Facebook ads. You don't have to do whatever it is, like, because you can get to that path of success in so many different things. You get to lay your own path. So really decide what feels good for you. And then there will be someone there to teach you that way. But check in, because you can get to success on any of those roads. It has to be what is in your highest value. If you're more techie, you're going to love the Facebook ads. But if you love to be in front of people, you're going to love to speak, or you love to use your voice, you're going to want a podcast. Like, don't be like, oh, well, I need to do this because this is what everybody's saying that's going to work. Like,
Mm.
really tap into what feels good and where you can see yourself, like, just loving doing that every single day, because it's the consistency of it that's going to get you to the finish line.
Mm. Yes. 1,000 times fuck yes. And FYI, everyone, just a reminder, this advice that you just got is coming from a strategist. Okay. This is coming from a strategist. So that says a lot. And it's also what helps us as entrepreneurs achieve longevity. I think that it's really easy to enter the entrepreneurial space and really difficult to achieve longevity in it, because we get trapped in what we should be doing and what everyone else is doing, and what you were saying, that grind, like keep hustling, keep pushing, and not tapping into your body and not feeling into your energy and like listening to what it is that you actually want. And I strongly believe, and I know you're with me, Devani, is like the moment we do that is the moment we start to achieve that sense of longevity, or the possibility of longevity with what we're creating.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to just be in this for like today.
No, no, no. Right.
Yeah, I'm in it for the long run, and I know that our listeners are too. And so energy and really understanding how it works in your body, and really tapping into how your intuition communicates with you, right? Because it communicates to us in different ways. That is so important. And I believe that starts with just that heightened self-awareness and giving yourself like that space to actually listen.
Yeah.
So what are some practices that you have taken on to help you hone in on your intuition? Because I mean, you're basically now building this next chapter of your business solely on your intuition,
Yeah. Yes.
which
Yes.
is fucking awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. So for me, it's meditation and journaling. So I am an avid journaler. That's how I work through all of my shit. That's how I manifest. That's how I call in what I want. That's how I co-create with the universe, this life that I want to live. It's all in the journal, and it's like getting things out. And then it's also journaling in a way of what I want to achieve or experience as if it's already happened. And then also
Mm.
asking questions of, what's standing in the way, and then listening for that. And intuition can come in different ways. You could be clairaudient and you can hear things, clairsentient and you feel things, clairvoyant and you see things. So they can come in different avenues, but taking that time to like meditate and drop in kind of like opens up that channel, even if you don't have stuff that comes to you in the meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Keep at it though, because you're opening up those pathways for that. And another thing I've really embarked on in this last year is working heavily with energy healers and working with numerous different energy healers and finding people that help me to create my tools. So I'm not leaning on them to be like, I need to go to this person for an energy clearing. Like there's definitely that, and there's Reiki and stuff, but energy practitioners that teach me how to tap into my own energy to learn and to see what's blocked and to protect myself. And so that's been really powerful work that I've been doing.
Yeah, and that's super important what you mentioned with the energy work, is that these are tools, right? And I've seen, clients come to me and they've created a dependency on these things. People depend on psychics, on tarot, on like energy work to like heal them and to do the work for them. But it's so much more empowering when you start to tap into your own intuition and learn how to hone in on your own energy and learn how to like manage all of that within your own sphere. That is empowering. I'm super curious to know, because I know, we've talked about meditation a lot on this podcast. Journaling is one of those things that I find a lot of people struggle with, like, well, I just don't write, or I don't know how to start, or what do I write about? So to those people, what would you say?
Yeah. So I would start off with always gratitude. That's the easiest thing, is what do you have in your life right now that you're super thankful for? So take 5 things that you're grateful for and write those down. Now think of maybe 3 things that you want to call into your life right now and write those 3 things down.
And by call in, you mean?
Experience.
Right.
Have.
Okay.
Yeah. And then with those 3 things, then write out what it feels like. Like imagine yourself, like let's say you want to get to, 5,000 a month in your business or something like that. Then I would say, thank you, universe, for the $5,000 a month that's coming in consistently. It feels so good. This money has provided freedom for me to invest in the right coaches and guides that I need to take the next step. It's allowed me to take my family on a trip to go blank. And with this, I experienced this the other day and it feels so good. And here are the type of clients that I'm working with, and really just allow yourself to just like start to go down the rabbit hole and start to just like dream, like you're creating a dream, your own Alice in Wonderland. What does that look like for you? And you might be like, oh, this is just, crazy talk. But when you start to do it over and over again, you see your subconscious mind can't tell the difference whether it's real or not. So you're actually creating new programs and repatterning your mind and actually believing that it's possible. So if you've had an income set point, you're like, I just can't get to that number for the life of me, it's going to help you to repattern that. Or whether it's to call in a relationship or whatever it is that you want to experience, or you want to get on that speaking stage, but you've been like scared and fearful, but you keep writing about what it's like and how it feels and how you got there and how you can't believe that connection was made and you got to interview that person and be on stage with that person. Like, just allow yourself to dream and allow yourself to go there. And no one's judging you. No one's reading your journal. Or if they do, you'd be like, oh, just took you on a ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just let yourself play.
I love that. I journal in a very, very similar way, and I can attest there is so much power that comes from like I call it like future hopping. Like, here I'm going to write as if I'm in the future and this is what's happening, because not only does it like change those neural pathways, but in the moment, like if you do this at the beginning of the day, you feel so fucking pumped up. like super
Yeah.
pumped to go about your day. And it's just such a great way to supercharge your energy too, because when you're writing, your energetic field starts to shift, right?
Yeah.
And so this in itself is like a great way to like I guess not manage your energy, but like set up your energy for a really successful, great feeling day.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
That is awesome. So listeners, I urge you to try that. As soon as we're off, you stop listening to this, go journal, try it out, put it to work and see what it does for you, and let yourself just play and have fun with it. So Devani, I want to know from you, if you were to sum up our entire conversation in a love punch, something punchy that the listeners can remember to bring them back to this moment, what would that love punch be?
You have all the power, answers, and intuition you need inside of you right now.
Mm. That is a beautiful reminder, and one that I think, just especially as entrepreneurs navigating through this space, it's so important to remember that we don't always have to seek shit outside of ourselves. It can be within.
Yeah.
Devani, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us and like going here with me today. I mean, we could have talked about strategy. FYI, everyone, if you're needing like some support with that, I'm going to drop Devani's links in the show notes. So please check her out. But I just love it when my guests go there and go to like a totally different place that maybe they wouldn't normally go. And I just feel that energy management it's crucial to
Yeah.
be able to continue to do what we're doing and to fulfill our missions. So thank you so much.
Thank you, honey. Such a pleasure.
And please tell our love punchers where they can stalk you online.
Yes. So I hang out a lot on Instagram at Devani Freeman. You can find all sorts of information on my website, devanifreeman.com. And then I also have a Facebook group, Heart Centered Business Lounge. So they can check that out as well.
Awesome. And you've got a cool freebie on your website too.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So check that out, everyone. Thank you, Devani. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Love Punch, where I'm challenging thought leaders, influencers, and entrepreneurs like you to make a lasting impact. If you love this episode with me and Devani, please share it with a friend and don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you want to hit us up, either of us, with questions about today's episode, please do. Just hit us up on social media. Links will be in the show notes. I'll see you here next week for a brand new episode of Love Punch.